In this sample worksheet, the Bonnie Doon Fire Safe Council released a post, Lessons from the Fire, and it pretty much had two purposes behind the initial post. The first of which was to gather information from various people who had been affected by the fire, because they wanted to figure out what exactly could have helped them, both in efforts to stop it to begin with, and what kind of relief would have been useful to those people, which they were lacking. In order to convince people to respond, they tried to convince them that this post was for their own good because inevitably another fire would eventually happen and then something could be changed. And if it wasn't without these people, then the results would be exactly the same as they were this time. Around section 2, people start responding, however no one really puts effort into any of their solutions. The first two people post very basic responses that are pretty much common sense, but the idea behind this post is on what can be improved. Improving does not mean just restating the very basic things of staffing a fire that's started by wildfire or dropping a tanker of chemicals on top of a fire. That's very basic stuff, and anyone would think of that. That's not going to really help the situation. Other people also put in responses. However, they were aggravated when they did it and added in much unnecessary information in their haste and anger, which also made it more difficult to figure out what their point was since they had to sift through all that unnecessary information. Around section 3, people pretty much just transition into a complete argument, and so far the conversation has been fairly unproductive and useless since most of the people are just arguing with one another. And finally, around section 4, the arguing people are calmed down and agree in the end due to Malcolm's post. That post could have been made earlier, however, it must be rephrased if it was, because its purpose was to reset people and put them back on the main point while reminding them that they are cared for and that people are still thinking of them. Overall, the conversation was fairly unproductive, seeing as how it didn't really do either of its two purposes. Its first purpose, which was to gather information, was completely unsuccessful, seeing as how almost no information was found out of it. Its second purpose, as far as helping people and reminding them that they're cared for, was a complete flop as well, seeing as how very little effort was put into that. Of course, they have that idea that they put out a post for them, but they didn't even respond to any of the people, even during when arguments first came out, and even at the end when people finally agreed. The people who originally posted never seemed to revisit the article or talk to those people, showing that they didn't really put much effort into showing those people that they cared. Also, an online post isn't the most effective tool for showing people around you that you care about their health and safety. The most effective way of doing that would be through physical effort and in-person contact. So overall, the post was pretty much a complete flop. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. I'm sick.